when I first reached out to you, like, bro, I got to get back in the gym. I think I was like 195. This was almost 2 years ago.
It was about 2 years
Almost
ago,
2 years
bro.
ago. I was
It was about
195. This morning, I weighed myself. I came in at 164.
30 pounds, bro.
That's crazy. At 164.
30 pounds.
Yes.
Come on now.
Like at 164.
Welcome to the Personal Development Blueprint, the podcast that's all about leveling up and helping you become the best version of yourself. I'm your host, jayy.cope. Join me as we talk about different tools and strategies to help you navigate through everyday life, creating a blueprint for your personal growth. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Personal Development Blueprint. Today, we have a special guest, man, and I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like I've been waiting for this one for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for this for a long time. Like when I had the vision of, because ultimately this was the vision to have like a video form of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I run mental reps. So I was thinking about like people to have on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And you was actually supposed to be the first person on the show. But,
but you had Boogie's the homie, so I'm happy that
Boogie is, man.
He's a good. I gotta link up with him too, but he's good.
He's a
dope
very, very humble spirit, and shout out Boogie Gaines, man.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Boogie Gaines. So back to it. I've known this guy for more than 18 years of my life.
Hasn't been that long.
18 years.
Wow.
It's closing in on 18 years. I believe this September will be 18 years. Because we met in 07.
Wow, yeah.
07.
When the casino opened.
Yeah.
The new building, yeah.
18 years, man. I consider this guy, I consider him a brother. We've been through a lot together, and he's the co-owner of Clean Sneaker Care, Wynn's brand. He's a husband, father, and a true sneaker. I don't even want to say enthusiast. I'm gonna say like connoisseur. Like he takes
I think connoisseur is where we at now.
Yeah, it's levels, bro. It's levels, man. This guy's been talking about sneakers for as long as I've known him. So it's levels. He's a sneaker connoisseur, and he's a man with passion for both business and community. He's been featured on major platforms like StockX, Exhibition, and he even did collaboration with the Detroit Pistons. Please help me welcome my brother, Clue313.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure I hit the right one. Almost hit that one.
Mix it up.
But I honestly think it deserves one of those. Come on, man. Drop one for Clue313, man.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that, dude. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, bro. First off, I appreciate you being here.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
This man is one of the hardest working men in the city. So the fact that you took time like out of your day to be here, like is much appreciated, bro.
Oh, yeah. I think these things. First of all, thanks for that. I think these things deserve time, too. You know what I mean? I don't consider myself like a big guy.
So modest, man.
But
he's humble, man. I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you.
You know, you just gotta make time. You know what I mean, for your friends and things that are important. I think it was funny. I'm looking at like the way Denzel is moving right now. I thought about this the other day. I really want to create a similar legacy. It's just like he's been there for so many people in so many ways, you know, and still is there for people like us because, you know, you can take the things that he puts out here in the world and it's meant for you to use it, right? You know, and I want to start like, you know, I'm not gonna say the second half of my life, but like the days I have left, I want to like start to imprint, you know, these things on people if I can, you know, because it's just really inspiring to to just be there. It's like he's not doing nothing crazy special. He's just like there for people. You know, I think that's just like really dope. You know what I mean?
You mentioned Denzel. He said a quote, and it kind of goes with what you said. He said, I think he spoke in like terms of like thirds.
Mm-hmm.
He said the first third of your life you learn,
Mm-hmm.
the second third you earn, and then the last third you return.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that kind of
that's probably right where I got that thought from, because I heard him say that. But no, I think that's true. It's like I want to do that, you know, and whatever. I don't know how that looks like for me. You know what I mean? I know this is part of it, but I just want to like just be there for people and like just do stuff. But I think to do that, you got to continue to elevate yourself so you can be of value. So you can offer something.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, the higher I go, I want to continue to like give people a piece of that. So if I can be, say if something crazy happens to me and I have like an even bigger following and all that stuff, I need to run back here to continue to give you some of that. You know what I mean? You know, as an example, you know, like you have to constantly just like give and use what you have. You know, like this could be like my superpower somehow. You know, who knows?
And that actually feels good, like giving back.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that more so until like adult ages.
Mm-hmm.
I would hear when I was coming up, hey, it's better to give than receive.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, right. Like,
Wow.
right. give me. Especially for like, I used to hear it a lot around Christmas.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, oh, like my grandma and stuff, they used to say that. I'm like, nah, just give me more toys. I ain't giving nothing away. But as I get older, I do start to realize that like when you give, like genuinely give and like not expect nothing in return, you feel that like it's like a sense of fulfillment. So
oh yeah, and you got to act on it too. I was in Subway the other day and get me a little veggie sandwich. You know what I mean?
Shout out to the vegans.
And this dude, this older gentleman was in there, and I was just reading something on the Bible app that was talking about, you know, when you feel compelled to do something good, that's probably, you know, the Holy Spirit moving through you or whatever. And I was like, yo, I should buy this dude's lunch. You know what I mean? So we was just in line. I made up my mind when I got in line. I had this thought in a couple seconds of me walking up to the counter. And so I was like, I'm going to buy this dude's lunch. So he was ordered his food. And I was like, hey, sir, you mind if I pay for your sandwich? He was like, oh, I don't mind. Thank you, brother. Thank you. He was like, you must have known this was my last $16 I had in my pocket. And I was like, actually, I didn't. You know what I mean? But, you know, I'm happy that I'm able to allow you to keep some of that. You know what I mean? But it's crazy because that moment, my mind was made up already. So you're not really doing it to get acknowledgement or the thing. Or I heard him say like, oh, I ain't got no money for real or whatever the case is. It was like, I'm going to do this regardless. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to spend, you know, the moments that I have when I'm conscious of these things to just think less. It's like that moment when you like, I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow. It's like if you can think yourself out of it for sure. But once you hit that moment, it's like, okay, let me just act on that. So I'm trying to work on that muscle, if you will. It's like when I had that thought, it's like act
on the impulse of it.
Yeah. Especially when it's like positive. It's not like a negative impulse. Yeah. It's a positive impulse, and it's like, whatever this is going to cost, I know I can afford it. You know what I mean? Like it's like the worst is $10 extra or whatever. It's like, who cares? You know. I guess
my question would be like, acting on that impulse, like when you did that, like how did that make you feel?
Oh, I felt great and accomplished, and it's like a stoicism philosophy around that too, you know, and that allowed me to practice this thing where it's like, don't do the third thing, which is, you know, if you do something good, that's the first thing. If somebody benefits from it, that's the second thing. The third thing is you don't have to like broadcast it. So it's like, don't do that third thing. So
that's like, hold on. Run it back. We might have missed like a bar right there. I don't think y'all really caught the concept. Run that back one more
Yeah,
time. Like you said, the three.
don't do the third thing.
Don't do the
You
third
know,
thing.
that's the
Run that
whole
back.
principle. So it's like if you do something that somebody benefits from, that's the first act that you did this thing that somebody benefit from it, right? And then the second thing is I'm forgetting. So you do the thing that somebody benefited from. If you do the thing, that's the action.
Okay.
Doing the thing is the action. The benefit part is the second action.
second
So I
thing.
did this for you. You benefited from it. That's the second thing. The third thing is I can go out here and tell the world, like, hey,
That's
hey,
key.
I just did this for Jamar, guys. Look, you know what I
That's
mean.
key,
So it's
bro.
like, don't do the third thing. Is the principles.
That actually reminds me of a story, bro. Like I remember when I first got into content, right?
Mm,
I'm starting out content. Don't know where I was going with this thing. And you know, we got our group chat going.
mm,
I remember you putting in the group chat and you was like, yo, I got XYZ followers. Let me know if there's anything that I can do
mm,
to help. That stuck with me because like you
mm.
didn't ask for nothing in return. So you're not just saying this stuff because it sound cool or doing like nobody knows about our group chat.
Right, right. Probably
This
just
ain't
like the wives.
you know what I'm saying? Nobody knows about this group chat. So it's not like, you know, you see a lot of people getting on social media and they saying things because it look cool.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like even what you just said with the three things, like that's the first time I heard that concept.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually live it. Because even when you said that, it reminded me, like, I was gonna ask, like, all right, I'm jumping all over the place, but you sent me a text message saying, hey, I got XYZ followers. Let me know what I can do to help you with what you got going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yo, that touched my heartstrings, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, you ain't asked for nothing in return. I ain't had nothing to offer. I'm just getting started out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, man, what made you do that?
I think I've been embracing like what I actually have to offer. Like I went through periods of my life where it was like I felt like useless. It's like, oh, I'm not like this overly masculine man. I don't like fix stuff around the house. I don't change my oil. You know what I mean? So I used to feel like less of a man. You know what I mean? At certain moments in my life or whatever. So these last few years, I've been looking at like what talents do I actually have? Like, what do I have to offer people, the world, my friends, my wife, my kids? And then I started to take a step back and look at that, like, oh, actually, I do have a lot I can give people. You know what I mean? So one of those things is people gravitate to me. I've been able to build like a platform or whatever the case is. I have, you know, some motion, as they would say. And
Big motion,
I
man.
know
Come
it's
on, man.
like
You so
I
humble,
know.
bro. You be so humble with it.
So it's like if you okay, what do you do with this? It's like I'm not really doing things to be popular, you
Yeah.
know, and also you learn that being popular don't really like pay the bills also, you know. But when you look at so say if you got like 8,000 followers, 9,000 followers, that's like 9,000 actual people, you know, give or take some bots or whatever, you know, that you can reach out to, that you can spread the word. And I realized like I can post like, oh, we got these new T-shirts in at work, right, at Carhartt or whatever, and then somebody would come in and get one, you know, as as simple to make it super simple. So it's like, oh, okay, and then I would post stuff and share stuff from other people, and I would hear people say stuff like, oh, I seen such and such on your page or whatever the case is, like, can you tell me more about that, or I should reach out to this person or whatever the case
Mm.
is. So when I started to understand and that's what was going on, then it's like, okay, I can leverage this for people that I know, because I don't share a lot of other stuff. You know what I mean? I leave my platform like for myself and my things, and then the people that's like close to me. So people all the time like, oh, share this, bro, and it's like, no, I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this is about. I don't know what this is. I don't believe in this or whatever. So if it's something that I support and I believe in, then it's like, okay, let me use what I have to help, you know, with this thing. And it's simply just that, you know, it's one of the things I can offer, you know. So it's instead of me looking at, oh, all the stuff that I'm not and I can't, it's like, I'm also all these other things, and I don't have to worry about like, you know, the stuff I'm not. So it started with like that thought, and then it's like, okay, let me offer, you know, and just like how y'all, you know, I hit you up, bro. I got on the scale this morning too, which is crazy. I gotta tell you about that, but it's like y'all have given me so much stuff, whether it's like just inspiration to want to do better. I think all of our clocks kind of synced up at the same time, where it was like where we made this shift in life of us wanting to be better,
Yeah.
like between me, you, and Mills specifically.
Shout out
Shout out to
Mills.
Mills. It was like around that same time I was talking to Dorian a little bit more, so I seen it sooner. But then I remember sparking conversation with you, and it's like, oh, like we all are in this certain place.
This
It might be
realm.
different categories, you know, of growth, but the goal is the same. You know what I mean? So I've gotten a lot from y'all in that space. So it's like, okay, I've been in this world though, and I see that I can probably offer something in my world that might be beneficial to
Facts.
y'all. So it was like, you know, again, it's like, what value can I add to the homies? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm over here doing this. I can help, you know, on this end. You know what I mean? So I think it's just that it's constantly looking for ways that I can add value to the people around me. You know, and that's that giving piece that we talked about. You know, like what can you give someone?
That's important too, man, because first off, it comes across as very genuine.
Mm,
And I'm one of those type of people that like I'm analytical. I might not address everything,
mm-hmm,
but like I pay attention to how people move,
mm-hmm.
and people could be like opportunists.
Oh, for sure.
And it's an instant turn off, man.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna lie.
Oh yeah,
It's an
yeah,
instant turn off all around because it's like you didn't even have to ask. Probably would have did it.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You can see it when people are when they have like a motive.
A motive.
Yeah.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
it is right there. Because like if I'm gonna do something, like it's it comes from like genuinely like from my heart, like something
Mm-hmm.
like you said, something you believe in that you can support. It's like there's somebody that been there for me, or whatever the case may be. Not even necessarily that, like
Even if you don't know them, it's just like
even if you don't know 'em.
I still might do it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
yeah. But if it come across like, yo, what's up, XYZ can boom boom boom, and I know it's something like
Mm-hmm.
going on behind it that you're not saying, I'll be
Yeah.
like, I probably feel better if you just came out front and said it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
at least that comes across more like honest.
Yeah. I had one time, dude, when I did that. I didn't know I was doing it, so I'm not gonna say like I had any malicious intent on doing this, but I remember when I first started off blogging, when I was doing like YouTube and stuff like that, and it was a dude that I forgot what it was that he had going on, but I wanted to like collab, and he had just launched some stuff, was getting some motion, and then I just started and I reached out like, yo, we should work together on this, and you know, I can post this, post that, we can do this, and then we can sell this t-shirt on your platform and all this stuff. And then he was like, bro, like I just got some motion, and you reach. He was very direct. He's very direct, very
Said he
humbling.
cut into
You
it real
know,
quick.
oh
But
my god,
respectfully though.
But when I went back and I looked at like what I said and how I approached it, it was like that's what it looked like. You know what I mean? So I had to check myself, like, oh, you shouldn't approach things that way. It was a very like I didn't mean anything negative by it. I was like excited because I even
Okay.
had contact with this person for this thing. And what's funny is that I don't even think they do nothing in the realm of sneakers and stuff no more. I think they just had like a small moment. But I had to think about that, like, yo, like don't be that person. It was a learning moment for me. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, wow, yeah, he's right. I had to look at myself. And when I looked at myself, I'm like, yeah, I definitely was trying to ride this wave.
Ride the wave.
You know what I mean? And so it makes me look at things a certain way when people are approaching me, and I try to give them some advice opposed to like you know, brushing
Maybe
them off, kind of maybe.
I gotta do better in that part. I ain't quite there yet
Mm-hmm.
because it be rubbing me the wrong way.
Oh, it will at first.
And I'm like, I might just kind of like fall back a little bit. But yeah, I got to do better in it. Talk about YouTube, man. Is this like? I remember you started that channel. It was like 15 years ago, bro. Back in
It was so bad.
the heat reform days, bro. Remember?
I don't think none of that stuff is up for real, but I left my like original like YouTube
I remember you had the
videos
stickers
up.
and everything. Like
Yo, yeah,
the
it was serious.
you've been on this kick, and this is
It's like 2010, I believe.
15 years ago. So
Yeah.
so let's take it back. You know, we both worked at the casino together.
Mhm.
And to me, this was like luxury to me. I'm like, yo, they feeding us,
Mhm.
they washing our clothes, they got good parking, man. Especially coming from somebody that was making $3 an hour, bro. Like
Mhm.
coming from that over to the casino, I'm like, yo, this is the life right here.
Yeah, even now when I look at it, it's really not a bad. Like when you look at like jobs now, it still was like it's still decent.
But
You know
the,
what
the
I mean?
thing that was like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I thought you was a little insane because you was like, I don't plan on being here long. I'm like, what?
What else is there?
I'm like, you don't. You used to always say that, bro, and then like, it never clicked.
Mhm.
It never clicked because I couldn't see that big. So even looking back now, man, like you've always been a visionary. Like
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
you, were,
thank you.
you were starting things. You went to spec hours. Like you was always doing stuff outside of like, all right, just showing up, punching the clock.
Mhm.
And what drove that mindset? Where did that even come from? Because majority of the people around there, like, you was probably the only one that was like, I ain't gonna be here long.
Yeah, I think at that time, shout out to my homie Brandon Vineyard. Remember my Mildew was
Mildew, yeah, Mildew, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He still lives in New York right now. Shout out to him. I owe him a lot of credit because he was the first one to kind of like implant like the whole mindset of like there's more out here for you. You know, so it was like a group of us in the neighborhood, and I met him through some of the homies, and we just immediately like clicked as far as like just wanting more. He was DJing and he did work and all that stuff. He was into art and all these things, and he was just like he had such a powerful personality, and he's someone that I just really admire because he was the first one I seen like doing something else. You know what I mean? So I was legit on some stuff like, bro, I carry, your equipment into the club, and I was rocking his t-shirt, and then we just started, coming up with a plan to just like do more. And I was like, I didn't think that this was possible. But he looked at me, he made it clear. He was like, bro, I believe that you have more to offer. He's like, you into other stuff, like let it show. Like figure out what else you can do with that. And I never met anyone that said these things. When you look at the guys that was like older than us at the time, it was just like, yo, chase females and go to work
The
and
typical,
bug out. Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm not gonna say that they're wrong for that because, and in certain times of your life, maybe that's what you're doing. We're young men, so we gotta get that out of our system or whatever the case is, as they say. But he was the first one that was like, bro, there's so much stuff out here. Like, there's so much stuff happening in the world, and it's so many more things you could be doing. So he was the legit him. It started with him when I met him, and he was just on that wave. And then me and him just kind of just went off on our own and started doing stuff. Like I was selling mixtapes in the street at work and all that stuff. And I actually
You
went to New
was
York.
grinding, dog.
Yeah, I went to New York with him, and that was very eye opening. It was like, yo, it's just so much out here that you could be doing. So it started there. You know what I mean? I didn't really have a plan. It was just like, yo, I just want to just do stuff. You know what I mean? And that's what I was doing. I was just doing stuff, and I'm like, something is going to happen, and I'm going to be able to like do more of what I want to do, opposed to like this. And obviously, like I work a 9 to 5 now still and stuff like that, but it's more of like aligning with my interests and things I want to do with myself and things I consider fun and it's compatible with who I want to be, opposed to like me just here because I gotta go to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've been able to like create a life around that. But it started with him, dude. Like just someone believing that I had more to offer and telling me that, and then I believed him because I'm like, you're doing it, so you got to see something, and then it allowed me to see that for myself too. You know?
And that's deep. You said something key there. You was like, you said you didn't really know what you wanted to do. You was just like trying stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the major things people think that they have to have it figured out before they dive into something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I first started, I still like I'm still trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
People like when I first started, like, yo, what you gonna do? How you gonna make money off of this? How you gonna this? How this? In my mind, I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Right. And
I'm just
that's
doing
fine.
it.
Right. Yeah. That's fine too. I think, like you said, you don't have to have all these answers. The people that's like doing this at a high level, it took them so long to
But that's where
get to
you.
that
But
point.
that's where you find out, man. You gotta try stuff to find out. Like, it might be this today and turn into something else 10 years from now.
It do exactly. You know, that's like my whole business has changed in the past few years, and I prayed for something else to be different because I just wasn't happy with the way things were going. It was just like very overwhelming for me and for my family and all that stuff. So I had to hit the reset button, you know, and God has been steering me in a different way. Then when you look now, it's like, oh, I'm still able to do certain stuff. It just it's packaged differently, and it's aligned with what I've been like praying for and putting out here into the universe and all that. It's like I needed something to go differently. So what I thought I wanted years ago when I first started clean sneaker care and stuff like that is don't look like that right now.
It's
But
changed.
it's also working better for me
Okay.
and my family right now. You know what I mean? Like,
I was gonna say how is like your stress levels.
oh my God, the stress level is so I get stressed out thinking about going back to having the shop, honestly. Like
Mm.
it's like my partner was like, bro, like I think we can open up another space. We can do it this way. I was like, bro, I'm about to throw up listening to you, listening to you talk about this, dude. Because the stress level was so high and it was just so much on my shoulders. And now things are going differently. We still exist. We're still doing cool things, and we're still making an impact, and we're still serving the community, and we're still doing stuff. But it just looks differently, and it's at a pace to where it makes more sense for me now, and I can show up as the husband that I want and need to be, show up as the father that I want and need to be, and as like I have the mental capacity to do stuff like this, which is really important. You know what I mean? Like I can sit and articulate like how I feel, what I need to do, what's going on, and all that. And it's like a year ago, I wasn't able to do that. It was just like, yo, I got to go do something. I have so
Right.
much to do, so
Like
much
you
on my
said,
plate.
that's that fight or flight survival mode.
Yeah, and that's what I was in constantly. You know what I mean? I'm actually like creating now. You know,
Mm.
I'm doing things, and I know when I need to pause. Like I'm still taking orders right now, for instance, but I've been turning them down because it's like, yo, I got a lot now. I can't do that. You know, but I'm in a place to where it's like, I don't have to beat myself up because it's like, oh, I need the money, so I gotta figure it out. It's like I'm not gonna say like I don't need money because you always got to make as much money as you can. I feel like, but I'm not like fighting for scraps. You know what I mean? It's like I can say no, say, bro, but I give you an extra 100. It's like, you know, that's fine. You can
Like you said, that
keep that to yourself right
you
now.
probably
You know.
overextend yourself, man.
Oh, over. I don't even know how I was even doing it. You know what I mean? It was just like the constant get up early, work, leave work, go to the business, stay there until stuff is done. You know, go home, take a nap, do it. You know what I mean? It's like I can't live like that. That don't work out for me. You know what I mean? And now it's like I have a lot more control. So I was getting to a place like last weekend where it's like I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm able to sit there, drop my, take my journal, and it's like, okay, where am I at right now? It's like, oh, okay, I'm at my max capacity with all this stuff right now. So let me cut it off. Let me work on the plate that's in front of me, like, and finish that first, and then I can bring some more in. So that's where I'm at now. It's like, oh, I'm at my capacity. Let me pause and let me just work on this right now. And this is enough for me at the moment. And I can do that, and I don't have another wave of stuff coming in that I don't want because I have more control over
I feel
my
like you're
situation.
drowning in a sense.
Oh yeah,
As soon as
definitely.
it's like I
I
can never get
drowned.
caught off.
I did drown.
I drowned. No, seriously, feel like you can never get caught up. It's like never ending task.
Yeah, that's what it was. And on top of that, I got payroll, I got rent to pay, I got a team, that needs stuff. I got more customers coming in that I can handle and all that stuff. And it's like, where does it end for me? And I have no extra help, right? And it's like, no, I'm not doing that again. So now it's like, I don't have. Was that my phone talking? Siri? I probably got hit.
I'm like, hold on.
Siri, right?
Who
Somebody
that?
in here, right? It's still in my bag downstairs. No, but so now it's like I don't have any of those issues. It's I'm working on projects. I can say no. If somebody needs me to do something, I can say no. I can say later. I can like, yo, I'm gonna put you on the calendar 3 weeks out because this is where I'm at right now with confidence. Like yesterday, somebody was like, yo, I got these things. What is
Siri
happening?
said, man, let me in on this podcast episode. I got something to say.
Let me stop. The AI feature is crazy. So I just got more control now. I had somebody just yesterday. It was like, yo, I got these things I want to get done. Can you take care of it? And I'm like, no, not right now. It's like probably in 2 weeks I can let you know. And there people look at you like, oh, bro, I'm trying to pay you. It's like, that's fine. But I got, Daniel got baseball coming up. JD got soccer. You know what I mean? Like my wife is about to go out of town next week. I got the 9 to 5. I'm working on this project, that project. It's like I don't have no room for that, and I don't feel obligated to do so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's set. I've been set up, and this is all God doing. I've been in a place of where I just got just more control. I don't believe there's like a true balance, like a perfect balance. I think it is, but I have a better grasp on things right now.
To me, it sounds like you've been setting a lot of boundaries lately.
Yeah.
Is that something that you struggle with in the past?
Oh my God. I just didn't know how to do that. It was like scared to do so, thinking I'm going to miss something, especially when it comes to business. My biggest boundaries I've set has been in business, I'm not running around chasing every dollar that comes my way now. It's just like I go to work, go to my 9 to 5, kill it, do what I got to do, show up very present, and I show up in my business space very similar. You know what I mean? Where it's like I show up, do what I got to do, and then it's like that's it. I don't do too much. I'm not pressed about like I don't have to be number one. And all that,
and being okay with that.
Yeah, definitely, because my wife and my kids are happy. I'm happy with that too. Like I'm not doing all these things like people like, oh, I live for my kids and I live for my wife, and it's like I don't believe that's like healthy. You know what I mean? But me showing up for them as the best version of myself is important, and I'm able to do that.
That's key.
I can't do that when I'm out here chasing a dollar. I don't want to have like that success story where it was like, yeah, for 10 years I wasn't there, but it's like, look,
no, for real,
my kid got a Range Rover at 16, and it's like, yeah, but they hate you though.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to have that. I've had conversations with highly successful, high performing people, and I can see the
disconnect type of
the disconnect, and they straight up tell me, it's like, bro, like like I've lost so much to get here, and out their mouths like, bro, if you can do this differently, do it. You know what I mean? Like I've had these people say that to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take your advice. You know what I mean? Because that's why this happens. Like how we talked about like giving, using what you have and give. I think that's what those people have. That's what they had to give me at that time. It's like they didn't give me some money. They didn't give me all these things. They was like, yo, like you look like you care about your family, you care about this, care about that, and you're really stressed right now. It's like you got to change something, because you could keep pushing through and end up on this other side, or you can figure this out differently. Like, I don't know what that looks like for you, but you got to do something different, or you're going to end up, in one of these other scenarios that it looks like you don't want to be in, and some people that's more important. And that's, again, no judgment. That's probably fine for them. but looking at what I want, it's like I don't want that.
Like the things are cool, but family and connection a little more important than that.
Yeah, you can still get money and still be a good husband.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
most
And that's what
definitely.
I'm learning. It's like, I can still do that. I can still, you be a little bit more tired, but it's like I still can do that. Like my got the kids to bed last night. My wife works nights. She wanted the fruit salad, some stuff to go. Packed her up some stuff to get out the door with, and all those things, and taught to her on her ride to work, making that time. Then after that, it's like, okay, I got like an hour and a half before I need to lay down. So let me journal, let me do the stuff I need to do. I'll probably work on some shoes, or I'm working on a report right now for work. Let me do some of these things. And it's just like spending your time better. Or it's like I could have,
Wisely, spending it wisely.
yeah, spending it wisely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's important, especially like you living your life by design.
Mm-hmm.
Now we all got this default. It's easy to go on autopilot, and you end up where you don't want to be in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look back and you say, "Oh man," like you start looking at the people that have the things, I guess, that you think you want.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that stuff, it's like you want it, but do you have what it takes to get that?
Yeah. Do you, that's powerful. Like, do you, a lot of these things come with a price. And I think
They definitely do.
you gotta be willing to pay the price, or you can't really get around it
Nah.
sometimes. And when you see people, especially on social media, speaking about a certain lifestyle, it's like you gotta ask yourself, like, do you want what comes with that? And for me, a lot of this stuff is like, like I love cars and all these things, and it's like some stuff I will be able to acquire, right? But it's like I don't need a 4,000 square foot house. It's like
Right.
I got two
For what
sons and a
though?
wife. I'm 5'7". Like we not, you know what I mean? It's like I'm not a big guy. We don't have a big family. I don't need all these things. What we found out when we made this sacrifice moving with our in-laws is when we first moved, before we wanted to pursue entrepreneurship and change things around and all that stuff. It was like, yo, we need all these things. You know what I mean? And after years and not of having less than what we had because we sacrificed, it's like, wow, we really just want a cozy
We
place
don't need
that
as
we can
much as
grow in.
we thought we
Yeah,
needed.
yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like what makes us happy? We realize like what makes us happy, and it's like, yo, us having a couch we can all sit and lay on with a TV on the wall. So we can.
Yeah.
We're a movie family. We go to the movies and we buy the collector's buckets and all this stuff. We sit at home and we like to lay around each other, eat popcorn,
That's
and
dope,
and
bro.
do these small things. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, like my kids like for me to cook dinner. My wife loves for me to make dinner, and all these things. It's like we're building around the stuff that we've learned is most important to us because we kind of stripped ourselves of a lot of different things. So it's been very humbling, but it's like we know who we are as a family and what we want, what we like, what we are. So we don't have these wild expectations, right?
Yeah.
What we also realize is I think our culture, we don't talk about money enough in a positive way. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I think it's a scary conversation. It's like if I was to sit and ask you, like, bro, how much money do you make a year? It'd make you feel weird. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But also it's like I know people that make a nice amount of money a year and they still end up very broke. And I think it comes from us just not talking about. It's like, oh, you make 90 grand a year. That's dope, right? And it's like, what are you doing with that? What are we doing with that? Like, how can we learn from each other? It's like, oh, I have this much money saved, and I invest this much, and it's like, oh, I don't even know how to invest. Like, how do you do
Yeah.
that? What are you investing in? And it's like I've started those conversations with Corinne. So me and my wife, we have these conversations around like the importance of having money, and then it made it comfortable. So our finances are combined, and we're doing better now because we're not afraid to talk about the
Yeah.
things, you know what I mean? Because now we understand what our expectations are. She not looking at me as like, yo, I need you to bring home 200 grand, babe, because I need a new bag every month and all this stuff. Is like, no, she's like, how much money do we need to make for us to be happy. So in my household, that's what our goals are. Like, you know, what do we need to earn for us to live so we can spend more time together, so we can have those movie nights, so we can have the date
That's
nights,
the important
so
stuff
we
right
can,
there.
you know, buy new soccer cleats when we need to, so we can have, so we, you know, some people are like a flat tire away from being like completely broke, you know what I mean? And I've been there too. There was like, dude, if something goes wrong right now, we're done. You know, but it's like, how do you get around that? So anyway, having those conversations and setting these expectations allows me to live a more I'm not gonna say curated life, but a life by design,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not out here doing all this crazy stuff because I know like what I need to do day in and day out for me to create this life that I know we want to create. So I can live a little bit more peaceful even before I get to that point. You know what I mean? Because I know what I need to do. So I say all that to say about, you talk about like a life by design. It's like that's what it is, because I have an expectation, you know, under my roof. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you said, setting the expectations, and they go for different aspects of our life.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't set thresholds, sort of say, it's like we run willy nilly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't set, we'll say, even with anything, diet, anything, like if you don't have some sense of what you should be eating, like not saying it's got to be perfect,
but there got to be some
type
parameters.
of,
Something got to be in place.
If not, you going out eating everything under the sun, and then,
Right.
you know, you wonder why you feeling or looking a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It impacts so many things, and it's funny. Like when we talked about like starting this like self-improvement journey all together around the same time. Like when I first reached out to you, like, bro, I got to get back in the gym. I think I was like 195. This was almost 2 years ago.
I need to hear this scale, man. You mentioned it earlier, man.
Was it almost 2 years ago?
It was about 2 years ago,
Almost 2
bro.
years ago. I was 195. To put into perspective, if somebody listens to this, they can't see the video. It's like I'm 5'7". I was like 195. This morning I weighed myself. I came in at 164.
30 pounds, bro.
That's crazy. At 164.
30 pounds.
Yes.
Come on now.
Like everyone. At 164.
Hey, give it up, man. Give it up.
And it's not even like I've been perfect during this time, because I got times where I'm in and out the gym.
But it's not even about being perfect.
The thought process.
That's the misconception, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's the misconception.
People like, oh, you on it 5-6 days
man,
a week.
what?
Counting calories.
Listen, bro, that's
meal prepping every Sunday.
That's the fastest way to crash and burn.
Oh yeah.
That's the fastest. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah,
Think about the tortoise and the rabbit.
That's what you were saying. Our first workout together, you was like, bro, I know you probably feel like you can go crazy today. It's like, but trust me, like, don't. You know what I mean? And that's why I think I hear the young guys now that I talk to, and they be like, bro, I went to the gym. It's like I was going nuts, bro. Like I was, you know, I'm trying not to walk tomorrow.
I went 3 times today.
Yeah, and it's like, why did you?
It's my 8th day this week. Wait, what?
Like, how did you do that? Like, and it's like, no. And I be telling people like, bro, you don't. And I tell people what you said. It's like, what's something that you've learned is, you know, manage your soreness. You know, a lot of people, they run into the gym and they go crazy, and then they feel terrible afterwards the next day. That adrenaline go down, then they can't walk the next day, and then they like, yo. And I hear about people going to trainers that hit them with that too. I've heard people say like, yo, my trainer's like, bro, you're gonna be able to walk tomorrow, and it's like,
no,
and it's like, oh, and I no judgment. I'm like, that might work out for you. You know, I just know that method didn't work for me. You know, and then the next week I'm like, yo, how's training going? I was like, bro, I ain't been back. And I'm like, you know, it's funny you say that. Then I'll tell them like what I've learned from you and others. It's like, yo, you gotta slow and steady run the race. It's like we don't have to do the delayed gratification is a thing. You know, it's a very positive thing. So anyway, yeah, bro, I got on the scale and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I don't think I've been intentionally like this size. You know, people they get, you know, they lose 30 pounds at times by getting sick and all that. But it's like, you know, the last couple of years have been just me in and out. You know, I had this whole, was that an example? Psycho-cybernetics. Was the torpedo example in that book?
Yep.
Yeah, the torpedo analogy.
You got him sitting right there.
Yeah.
Shout out Psycho-Cybernetics.
So I live my life by that.
One second, bro. If you have not read that book already, Highly recommended.
Was this the book that
For
got
my
you in the
session.
game?
The book that
It was one of these books. I know for all of us collectively, it was The Way of the Superior Man is what we all read together.
actually, yeah, that was the
That was
book
the
that
first
got
one?
yeah, that was the first
Yeah.
one.
So I
yeah.
bought that one because that was one of your first. I think it's the first recommendation of yours
Yeah,
that I
actually it
purchased.
was.
And the torpedo analogy really sticks with me. I tell people that all the time, you know, and for those listening, it's the whole principle of like how a torpedo gets to its target. You know, it's never a straight, like,
Yeah,
you
constant
know, it's
readjusting.
constant readjusting. It's mistakes and corrections, you know, and that's how you get to. I think whatever point, yeah, it is. It's like
But the
mistakes and
thing is,
corrections.
those little windows of the correction, whatever you want to call it, that's where you learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Same concept with, was it Thomas Edison with the light bulb?
Yeah.
Or I said that one of the shorts, man. It was Thomas Edison took him. He failed 10,000 times. Supposedly failed 10,000 times before he found the formula for the light bulb. And he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that won't work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was a whole bar, you
Yeah.
know? So I'm like, we got to change the way that we look at failure. Failure is a good thing. I don't know. The word failure just sounds so negative. Maybe we need to come up with a new word, a new term for it.
No, I know. And what is it? It's like it's a lot of different stuff at work. It's like, you know, you got opportunities and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Put a positive spin.
You
on
know, what's funny is that it's a quote by Michael Jordan that I hate actually, where he's like, he says, "I never lost.
Jordan.
I never lost a game. I just ran out of time." And it's like, no, you lost. The point of the game is to score more points in this period of time. It's like, no, bro, you lost. Like,
Jordan
it's okay.
said, if I had about 3 more hours, I would eventually brought it back.
I would have won all these games. It's like, I bet, but that's not the object of the game. But no, that's a good thing about Thomas Edison, and that's what it is. Like, you got to continue to you learn just from these situations. You know, that's what makes an intelligent person intelligent. It's like they keep trying. It's like, oh, you know what, that way didn't work. You're not repeating that same one. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, oh, I learned from this. I'm not going to do it this way. Let me make some tweaks and try it. I think that's the key part that's in there.
Small tweaks lead to giant peaks, man. That's a real thing.
No, yeah.
That's a real thing. Circling back around, I wanted to ask you this. I guess it's going to be a question I want to know about, like, just about everybody. Like, everybody has an origin story, right? I'm using origin because that's Boogie brought up origin and made me think superhero. So since I've known you, you've always talked about sneakers. Like, you had a lot of sneakers, like, coming up, bro. Like, when did your love for sneakers start? Like, or did you notice, like, man, I have a thing for sneakers?
The thing was, since I was a kid, you know, legit like a kid. It's a picture of me on Christmas holding up, like, this wasn't a Jordan or nothing crazy. It was just like a regular Nike sneaker that I just thought was really cool, and I was just so excited to have it. But I've just always been that way. Colors, different gimmicks. Like, Converse used to do this thing that they had React Juice in the sneaker. Didn't do anything, but it just sounded cool. Like, I was a big Larry Johnson fan growing up. Grandmama, that whole thing.
I remember Grandmama, the commercials.
Yeah, I was a Converse basketball kid because my dad was a big Magic Johnson fan. They were all signed to Converse, so that was like, you know, my intro into all those things. But I just thought it was cool, and I didn't realize it was a culture behind it. And I remember I have this tattoo. It's the scene from Do the Right Thing, the bugging out scene when he stepped on the dude stepped on his sneakers, and that scene was about gentrification, right? Like, it wasn't about, like, sneakers, but, you know, white guy in the black neighborhood in Brooklyn bought one of the brownstones, or brought several actually, and then they was like, "What you even doing in this neighborhood anyway?" Because he stepped on Jordan 4s at the time. This movie came out in the late '80s. You know what I mean? And I watched that movie when I was a kid. Probably shouldn't have watched it when I was a kid, but watching that movie when I was a kid, that I remember that was my earliest memory of me realizing I really was into sneakers, and me seeing other people highlight that, because that whole scene was like, oh, he stepped on your brand new Air Jordans and all this stuff. And I was like, why did he step on his shoes? Why would you do that? Like as a kid, I'm like, yo, those shoes are fresh. Why would he do
Disrespectful.
that? Yeah, and it was me acknowledging that scene made me acknowledge the fact that like, yo, I really do love shoes like this too. And that was like the first time I've seen like other people really care about, sneakers or whatever.
You
So
felt it sparked that emotion in
yeah,
you.
yeah. It made me truly realize like this is a thing for me. I just never forget me watching that movie and remembering that scene and seeing it and understanding like how I would feel if somebody stepped on my sneakers. And then as I got, I was in elementary school, my parents bought me J's here and there, but it really didn't matter for me. It's like I remember in elementary school, I would go from Monday, I would have on a pair of Ninja Turtle sneakers because I was a big Ninja Turtle kid, right? But then I wasn't a super poor kid growing up. So I don't have that story where it's like, oh, my parents, we didn't have nothing and they couldn't
Man, we
afford.
was
We
eating out
wasn't,
the alley. But
yeah, like we was pouring milk back into the carton, and then we was not that poor. We weren't like rich, but we weren't
you was
like
doing all right.
yeah, we weren't like that poor family. So I try to put that out there, like, but my parents didn't believe in buying a bunch of sneakers, but they did used to buy some things. So I had Ninja Turtle sneakers on like Monday, Tuesday I had on some Jordan 7s,
Mm,
Wednesday I had on some LA Gears because they used to light up. Thursday I
yeah.
have on some Jordan 8s. You know what I mean? It was like I just love just
Sneakers,
footwear, the
yeah.
sneakers period. Even if I got a dope pair of like dress shoes and I would look at them like, oh, these are shiny, these are cool. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like shoes period. Sometimes I get that feeling over a pair of like Timberland just sent me some boots. Shout out to the homie Jamerson from Flint. He teamed up with Timberland. They seeded out a bunch of boots. I got a fresh pair of Tims just recently, and I like pulled them out the box, and I was just like, "Yo, like it's a
Some
fresh pair
wheats
of
or like a
wheats. It's
different
a fresh
okay.
pair of wheats.
Wheats.
Like
Nothing like the fresh pair of
nothing
wheats.
crazy, but it's like this is
Not the
a
single soles though. Go ahead.
no, no. I'm so happy they
I've
weren't.
learned that the hard way.
Don't do it.
Thought I was on the one going to Great Lakes Crossing.
I remember we did that before. It's like it was Joe was like, "Oh, they on sale, bro." We get there and it's like, "Bro, the single
The
soles are
single-
on sale." Like,
yeah.
but yeah, they
Them
sent
joints
me.
look crazy.
Oh my goodness, dude, they look like something different. But opening up a pair of fresh double sole leather collar wheat Tims is like, yo, these are so dope to me. So it's always been just like something about shoes to me. And then as I got older, I started attaching myself to the stories and, I seen the flu game. I watched the flu game when Michael Jordan was sick. I seen the last shot when he wore the Jordan 14s. You know what I mean? Like I seen the return games in Chicago, the return game when he was for the Wizards, and and then I seen the original Penny commercials, and I got excited about all those things. So it just evolved over time. You know what I mean? So it's always been a thing for me. I don't consider myself like a nerd about it. I can't tell you like if some people are wise, they can tell you style numbers and color codes, and I don't. It's not that I don't go that far, but I just love just footwear in general. It's just a cool statement piece that you can speak through and all that stuff. It's just a fun thing for me. Always has been.
You mentioned when you first noticed that you had the love for when they stepped on the shoes and do the right thing. Have you ever experienced somebody stepping on your fresh pair of sneakers?
No, not really.
No.
I've experienced people like I think when that started to happen, I was mature enough to like understand where I'm at. It's like
Okay.
I'm at an event or something like that. It's just like it's bound to
You
happen.
weren't ready to like box or nothing like that.
Nah, nah. I've always carried before sneaker wipes became a thing over the past like 5-6 years. I've always carried like little baby wipes in a Ziploc bag in my back pocket.
Well, shout out to you having
Stuff like
early
that.
on emotional intelligence because I've seen people get knocked out
Yeah,
for stepping on shoes, and I used to think like, "Wow, that's crazy."
I think this is just like a deeper issue with people now. 39-year-old me
Yeah.
understand that has nothing to do with the shoe. Like this person has real issues.
Yeah, I remember that in high
You
school,
know?
bro. They would take that serious, especially like some fresh
Oh yeah,
white
yeah.
ones.
I think that's like it's so performative though. Like I remember when I was in high school and it was like that was just so important. But it was like you have so much testosterone and so much like
Yeah.
sexual energy and all these other
Not
things.
knowing how to channel that.
Yeah,
and-
not knowing how to,
yeah.
you want to impress the homies and the girls, which is why you couldn't sleep the night before anyway when you had
Yeah.
those shoes. So it's just like there's so many things happening to a 16-year-old kid that I just understand now. You know what I mean?
And that's good that you have that understanding, because now I feel like you got two men that you're raising.
Yeah.
You know,
You're already at that point.
Man,
You're already at that point.
listen, and I'm understanding though that there was things like, I think like when I started the personal development journey, I did kind of start that disconnect, because it was like, man, I got to grind for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because me personally, myself, like I'm a nerd for like camera stuff, and like this type of stuff. So like that's stuff that makes me happy,
Mm-hmm.
different stuff like that. But like all the extra stuff, like I don't really care about that.
Mm-hmm.
I really
You've always been that way too. Like it's been, I've always seen that. Like it's like stuff.
yeah,
You
it's
went
just
through your
stuff.
car phase, which I think,
Yeah.
like, you know, one day you'll probably be able to revisit that. I think that was like a genuine thing. You know, that's a part of you, but it's like you've always been into like just other.
Yeah,
other
and then there
things.
was
It's
a
like,
thing that was like, I do it for them, and in the midst of me trying to create a space for, like, to make them comfortable, I think I did create a disconnect, you know,
mm-hmm.
and that's something I noticed. Like even this year, I said, you know, I'm getting closer with my wife and my kids, and I've
Mm-hmm.
already seen it happening.
Yeah.
Talked about that in the last episode of just reprogramming our subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my statements. I actually got that on my phone, man. Like, I will strengthen my relationship with my wife and my kids
Mm-hmm.
by spending quality time with them and listening to their concerns.
You need to unlock your iPhone first.
Was that you this time?
Bro, that might be me.
Yeah, that's you this time.
Yeah, that was a dude. These series about to have a
About to start
a back and
arguing
forth.
back and
Right. No, but it's one of those things, because I'm a firm believer in we can program our subconscious mind to do
mm-hmm.
whatever we want. It's just repeating.
The repetition, yeah.
So as I started doing that, it was little things that was happening. You know, I was been spending more time with them, and like in a sense, I would get upset, like when I would see like JJ do something or react a certain way, it'll upset me. But then I had to actually look in the mirror and be like, bro, have you sat down with him and talked to him and taught him, and you know,
It's like looking at yourself first.
yeah. Instead of just expecting him to know these things already.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of that stuff happened within that disconnect. So now I'm like, all right, let me get up on it.
Yeah, and it's like it's never too late either. You know, it's some stuff I'm doing similar things with my oldest, because he's changing. He's 10, and he's going into this space of him disconnecting from so much like younger kid stuff into like bigger kid stuff. So he's he got his feet in both worlds, which is a funny space to be in. So I'm trying to like just be more patient, you know, more listening. Like as soon as he walks to me, I try to like put my phone down and just like give him all my attention, you know, and just like being present and not coming down on him. It's crazy going down out there, and not coming down on him like so heavy. Even like in the morning when he's like, you know, moaning and whining about him having to get up in the morning, I'm trying to be like more patient with that and not like, bro, like just spazzing out, you know, like giving him some space to, because it's like, yo, I'm tired too. I get it. You know, we got to go, but I can be a little more gentle in the morning and let him kind of just like gather himself and stuff like that. It's like I'm taking it like one scenario at a time, you know, with the boys. But I think it's acknowledging the human side of it. I think a lot of times we look at kids, it's like they're some supreme being that they don't have emotions and feelings.
No, that's facts, bro.
And all that, you know,
that's
like
facts.
they don't have the right to feel a certain way.
They
and
get
it's like
they get up, they, like you said, they go through stuff too.
Yeah, Ryan Holiday talk about that a lot, like with the whole stoicism thing. It's like, you know, when your kids get angry and start, you know, lashing out emotionally, and then it's like if you meet them with that, then you're qualifying their behavior. You're saying like, okay, this is how we act when we're mad, because they're frustrated and angry, and they're acting out. Then you're frustrated because they're frustrated, and you start acting out. Then it's like you're losing control of yourself.
You got to
right?
be the leader, and then like that rock.
Yeah.
because you basically embrace that blow or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you notice they do start to disarm a little bit.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah, they do. They come down. You know what I mean? And that's what I've been trying to do. I'm trying to work on it before he hits these teen years where I know it can go further. I'm trying to establish that level of communication. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yo, no, let's talk. Use your words, even if they're passionate words. Like use your words. Like we can have these conversations and stuff like that. It's like I know you're frustrated. You got the right to be. Who am I to tell you that you shouldn't be mad at this thing? You know, and then it's like, yo, I probably would have done the same thing when I was a kid, but our kids didn't have like a us. You know what I mean? And Corinne just sent me this thing where it was like the guy was talking about how your parents or each kid gets a different parent. Like so many things are different. Like your financial situation could be different in between the kids. You know, your kids can trigger you differently too. You know, you could be you could be a different version of yourself according to when this certain kid came around. So JJ is going to get a different experience than Jace, for sure. Like JJ, more of his life is going to be based off of this refined Jamar. You know what I mean? When JJ is getting this version of you that's understanding, and you're getting to this point, and you're like, okay. So by the time JJ become like 16, 17, it's gonna be like a different version of you.
Yeah,
probably
facts.
even more refined then because you're intentionally working on these things. So I'm understanding that too. It's like, yo, my boys probably didn't get the best version of me, you know, before this journey. But now it's like, you know, it's not too late. They still love me, you know, I'm still attached to them, and it's like, okay, like they're getting the best version of me. They always got the best version of me to my as best I could do at that moment, but now they're getting this more refined version of me day in and day out. And sometimes it's not going to be the best, but overall, it's like they're getting this fine tuned version of myself because every day we're just trying that much harder.
And your kids are, man, they're very forgiving to their parents.
They are, and then I think that runs out if you don't get a grip
to a certain
But
age.
I think they are, so that's why it's key to lock in because they get to the age where it's like, yo, no, bro, I'm straight. You know,
there've been times where I know I've come home and probably didn't show up the greatest, and then still embracing me with that.
Bro, sometimes, I don't think I've done nothing wild, but it's times where I definitely like have come home and I was just like bugging, and I caught myself, and I'm like, yo,
a little more snappy,
and
or
I apologize.
That's key right there.
Like,
The apologies, because that actually creates more respect.
Yeah, acknowledging, because they know if you teach them like, oh, it's okay for you to make a mistake. But it's like, you know, they see me like, yo, and then it's been hard for me to do that. I come in and I have a moment, and then I'll sit them down like, yo, you know, like I apologize for me raising my voice earlier, this, and this, and you know, and it's like, oh, it's okay, Dad, and it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like, but you know, to our point, it's like you gotta get a grip on it, and I think I've been really focused on that, you know.
All right. Man, that's crazy. That's probably coming through on the feedback.
That's the first time it came through.
You know, it'd be crazy if like everything shut off. We not put that out. We not put that out there. But one thing that I admire about you is like how hard you go for your wife, bro. Like you are a super advocate for your wife. And for one, it's huge because you showing your kids what a good husband looks like, you know. Y'all actually met at the casino. Y'all actually met at the, yeah. Tell us that story.
We did meet at the casino, but we didn't. We like connected like via social media. You know what I mean? So
also, y'all knew each other before the casino?
No, we knew each other, you know, from the casino. But you know, she left. She was part of that layoff in like 2008 or whatever. Whenever it was, you know, they hire all these people and then they start cutting. And ironically, when my mom was alive, God rest her soul, I got to kind of oversee some of that because she was our union president. So when it was happening, I remember her at home like going over these lists because even if it's a layoff, the union has to monitor to make sure that it's supposed to be what it's supposed to
You had
be.
the inside scoop,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, but I didn't know half these people yet though. But
Okay.
some people I did know. I'm like, ooh, you ain't gonna be here
Damn, that's
next
tough.
week. And she couldn't tell me who, but I would hear her going over stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, such and such from our department is cooked. You know what I mean? But some people knew. You know what I mean? But anyway, she was part of that layoff or whatever. But we reconnected in 2012. Well, I ain't gonna say reconnected because we weren't really like I can't say we were cool then. We just knew each other, who each other was. And via social media, I noticed that she was kind of into some things I was into. So we just have like little, back and forth, comment here, comment there. There was no DMs, so all this stuff was like under posts. Then
You had to be out in public with it.
oh man, that's what it was. And when the conversations became frequent, and for some reason, if you follow one person on one platform, you follow them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So it was just like that whole reaching out here and there. And then it got to the point where it was like daily. And then I was like, yo, okay, now I know she's single. I know what she's kind of into. And then I wrote under her post, like something, I forgot what I said, but it was something along the lines of like, when your Instagram crush wants to take you to lunch or something like that. And she responded positively. And I was like, all right, email me your number.
Email,
then,
man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Ooh, they just show you the times.
Because like
there.
I said, there was no DM. So,
Yeah.
she emailed me, and then our first phone conversation was like 7 hours,
Mm.
and then we haven't stopped talking since. And we still, even to this day,
they even still do that these days?
I don't know. I don't think so. But it's weird too because it's like you really get to know somebody by just
talking to them. Yeah,
and we did 7 hours of straight talking, no like dry spots, and we still like we talked. I seen her before I left home because I had to stop to switch cars, and then we talked on my way here
today.
And we're like 13 years in, and we
y'all still got that.
we still
Yeah,
just talk, and but I think it's one of those things where I want to be this person. I want to be a good husband. I want to. That's part of the legacy that I want to leave. Like I want my boys to know what like this looks like. Like we had a moment at home where my son, he raised his voice at her. Like we don't do that. But I read this book every day called The Daily Dad. It's another stoicism book, and it's just like these meditations every day about parenting. And they say like when kids do something out of character, one thing to ask them is like, where did you see this? So I asked him, I'm like, have you ever seen me raise my voice at your mother? And he was like, no. Like, have you ever seen me like disrespect her? He said no. And I'm like, have you ever seen me like make a similar comment in her direction? And he said no. And it made me think, it's like, wow, like I legit don't do that. You know what I mean? So I want to do this. I wanted to be a certain type of husband because I didn't see this growing up, And as far as I know you didn't see. You don't know what that looks like neither. So we like winging it, right?
Yeah,
we trying
facts.
our best. We don't know what that looks like. And, no shade to my dad at all because his father sucked too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just, a loving person is there and supportive in every way. I don't know what that looks like, right? I just know I can create this thing for my boys to have something to go off of. So that's like my goal. Is to create this ideal person I want them to become, because the conversations are cool that you have with your sons, but it's like the actions is what they're really going to hang on to. So I try to like emulate that. They see me affectionate. They see me speak life into her. They see me give her praise. They see me, walk her to the car when she goes to work and all this stuff. I just know it's playing into their subconscious where it's like, I'm just doing everything I know I need to do, so they don't have an excuse as far as like I don't know what that looked like. You know what I mean? Like I can check that box for them. You know what I mean?
They watch.
They see everything.
Man, listen,
and they hear everything.
and like you said, it's a big difference in telling them to do something than actually doing something. Quick story: I was in the bathroom one day and we got the little drying towel. Like after you wash your hands, you dry your towel and. JJ came in, like we was both in the bathroom. He washed his hands, And then he took the towel and he dried his mouth with it.
Mm.
I'm like, my man, what's up with you, bro? Like, don't dry your mouth with that.
Mm.
He like, all right, my bad. Boom. All right. So the very next day, right? I'm washing my hands. What's the first thing I do after washing my hands?
You wiped your mouth with this.
Grabbed it and look, I'm telling you, it was like I wasn't even thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed it and was like, yo.
Right.
It was one of those moments, and it was like, man, they really like, and that went back to like a lot of stuff we got to check ourselves on, because I see sometimes the way like he'll treat Jace or something like that, and like I'll get upset at him, and then I have to ask myself like, man, like you said, where'd you get it from, or where, and I know I'm not perfect, and I know some of that stuff he does pick up for me, because I am a little more, I would say, like nonchalant, and that came from different reasons. Like I won't get into like the way that I was raised,
Exactly.
you know, and I see a lot of that in him. So again, it's stuff that I'm noticing and I'm working on, and I try to talk to him about, and you know, just different stuff like that. So they definitely watch.
They see it, but being in a space that you can look at yourself first, I think is like, that's huge. You know what I mean? Like it takes a lot to get to that point, because it just holds you accountable for a lot of this stuff, which holds them accountable for these things too. You know what I mean?
And then a lot of times when you come at them from a level of understanding, and that's the part that I'm working on, because instead of getting upset at them, come from understanding. Like, man, they picked it up. Some of the stuff they might have got from you. So sit down, humble yourself.
Right.
Humble yourself.
We're gonna work on this together.
Yeah, have a piece of humble pie, my boy. And just talking to them, letting them know, like, man, I make mistakes too, and different stuff like that. And like you said, it's letting them know that it's okay to make the mistakes, and that helps out a lot, man. So I know we running a little short on time. I know you got to get out of here. So we're gonna fast forward this to just, you be working, bro. You be working, man. Arguably one of the hardest working dudes in the city. I can say that, just based off of me knowing you and your genuineness. You're not doing it for a popularity contest, and that makes a big difference too. So you done a lot for the city. You know, I've seen you do collabs with huge sneaker and fashion brands, like, again, StockX exhibition. You made appearances at the Michigan Sneaker Exchange, which was dope. And then doing a collaboration with the Detroit Pistons. So pick two things that you've been involved in that you most proud of.
I think I'm most proud of like the StockX relationship. That's been really good. It's just been such a good like two-way situation, and it's just such a full circle moment for me, because I wanted to work for them like as an employee, you know, at one point. And then I actually beta tested their original site, which wasn't called StockX, when I worked for Quicken. So I seen this whole thing, and I have a lot of other ties to it, like seeing it start like formulate when they were like looking for people, just for me being in like certain circles and spaces. So certain stuff I probably can't even talk about, but I've seen a lot of stuff. So it's been like a full circle moment. Every time I walk in there, I just like, you know, I make sure I thank God for that, because it's definitely, it's like, you know, just like one of those things I didn't know was possible to do it at this level and like this. And then it's like they just got a new CEO who so happens to be a cool guy that like reaches out to me here and there, and it's like, yo, they're building out a company, you know. So I get a phone call from him every so often. Shout out to Greg Swartz. Like he's called me before, and it's like, yo, like, are you doing such and such and such? And I'm like, yo, I don't know, should I? And he just like give me just a bunch of gems and just talk, and then be like, all right, I'll holler at you later. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, like that's such a good relationship have. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably my favorite that I've right now because it's been continuous. So I'm grateful for that. And then I think just our time that we spent at Nike and doing the projects that we did with Nike, like we signed a bunch of non-disclosures for some things. This was back in 2018. Um, we went to campus, spent like 4 days on campus, worked on a couple different like group projects and like focus group things and stuff like that, which was really dope. And then we worked on like a sneaker project, which was cool. I think that was just like for anybody that would be like their favorite. But all the local stuff that I get to do is really cool. Like who wouldn't be hyped about working with the Pistons? And
Yeah,
I
that was
ran
dope when I saw
into
that. Yeah,
I ran into, and it's like our second time. So I ran into their marketing guy recently, and he's like, "Yo, we got something else coming up that y'all might get a phone call about." So I'm just grateful for those things. Because I look at these situations as what they are. Like they call you, you sign an agreement for one thing, right? They call you, say, "Yo, we got this such and such coming up. I think you'll be a great fit. We want you guys to pull up here and do a thing, and the price. This is what the budget is. If you agree, then we can move forward. You agree, you sign a contract for that one thing, and that's it. They don't have to call you again. They're not obligated to work with you again. But the fact that we've had these things happen multiple times with these people, that means even more because they they like working with you. You know what I mean? They believe in what you're doing and they enjoy you representing them too. You know what I mean? Because when they call you, it's like, yo, you're a part of this. You're representing them. When people
yeah.
if they go to the arena and you're there doing whatever it is they paid you for, it's like you're representing the
They
Pistons.
trust you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So,
Yeah,
that's something I try to share with these younger people that's coming up. It's like you have to be someone that people want to work with. You got to be on brand. You have to be morally aligned publicly with these people. So if you posting wild things on your pages and all that stuff is like that's part of your interview process because these people are always watching. That brand that you want to work with probably already knows who you are. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It could be either waiting for the opportunity to work with you, they're waiting for you to grow some more, or it could be like, yo, I seen you, but it's like we don't align with what you're doing. You know what I mean? So just knowing that we check off the boxes to work with these people is dope, and the fact that they keep calling is huge. You got to have some integrity, and I think that's something I can share with my boys. Like, Daddy was out here building this thing, and then because of the way I move as a person, these people continue to, um, pay us to pull up.
And that shows how you show up though.
Hmm.
If that makes sense. Like if obviously if they calling you back, that just goes to show like how dedicated you are to one, your craft, your integrity, like your morals, different things like that. Like you said,
Hmm.
you move very calculated.
Yeah, you gotta be professional too. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta show up. You gotta show up on time. You gotta be ready to work. One of the things that we hear from StockX is they like how professional and prepared we are. So, like, shout out to my partner Don because he is a stickler for these things. It's like if we have a meeting coming up and all that stuff, he's like, "Yo, let's jump on a call before we jump on a call." And the week before that, we jumped on a call to put together a one pager that we're going to send over before the meeting. And he really taught me a lot about like how to go that extra step and those extra steps, excuse me, like really excite like these partners.
Makes
You
a
know what I
big
mean?
difference.
Because they usually have to. What we found out through them, they usually have to do like a lot of the extra work. So when you come with your own thoughts and how you think this thing that we're doing together could go with respect for what they want as well. So it's like, hey, this is what we're thinking, but there's space for you to obviously give us some direction because you're the one cutting the check. So, but this is just what we were thinking. And they'd be like, oh, shoot, we didn't even think about this or think about
Ain't
that.
that what happened with StockX?
Yeah, it happened the very first time we did the first set of YouTube videos that we did. th- They came to us with an idea. They didn't really have like a structure
And y'all came with
fully,
it like
and we came with a structure. They were
yeah.
like, "Oh, we're actually going to use all this." You know what I mean? And then they produced it, so they gave us direction, as well. They designed a set. They did different things, but us coming with these thought starters is what we try to do, just to get the ball rolling to help make this more of a collaborative effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people, they might call you and say, hey, this is what we're doing and this is it. Like when we just did the live stream with them, their internal thing, it was like, this is what it is. We still came up with a format for it to make it make sense because they know what they want, but they don't know like sometimes what that could look like from our end. So you got to provide them sometime with like some type of structure from your side. Like, hey, I know what you want, but realistically, this is how it needs to go. And then it's like, oh, we didn't think about that. Cool. You know what I mean? But it just shows that you're very invested in what's happening.
Yeah, probably give you the edge too, man.
Yeah. They know you're easy to work with, and that's
Yeah.
something that you got to do with these brands is like if they call you, like make yourself easy to work with because you don't want to only get. I make peace with this could be the one and only
That's a
time.
nugget right there.
But
make yourself easy to work with.
Yeah, but you want them to call back because if they call back, then
you're doing something right,
and then you're getting another check. You know what I mean? How we talked about it's like, money isn't everything and all that stuff or whatever for sure. But me doing a lot of stuff for free and building over the years allows me to get paid for things now. So it's like you want to make yourself that person that they want to work with because people, you can make a living off of these things too. You know what I mean? So you want to set yourself up for that.
No, that's great. That's great advice, man. That sticks with me right there. And I know there's one piece of advice I'm gonna take if it ever come to a point. Make yourself easy to work with.
Yeah,
I like that.
You gotta be a pushover, but you just show up, and that just means for us, it's like just do your part. You know what I mean? Like do your part, go above and beyond if you can. You know what I mean? Of course, in a way that makes sense, right?
I learned that from MGM, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We come from the camp of people that's like, oh no, don't show them you know how to do something.
Listen, I forget which book that I think it might have been Think and Grow Rich. It said render more services that you're paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And I live by that.
Yeah.
I've always lived by that. And it shows. So like when I was a tech, I'm out there running the floor. I'm grabbing all the calls. Next cat like, man, you better slow down, man. Don't be making them let you do all the work.
Like, all right.
I'd be like, thanks. You make it easier for me to stand out.
Because I know you ain't about to do. But no, I take that further for you. Like back in when we were just bussers, how you made it a point to like you knew everybody's name that came through. Like you had like these quick touch points with like everybody that was passing. You know what I mean? And some people will look at it like, oh, he's just a nice guy, which you are. But it was like you connected with all these people and like just it's almost like you started to figure out that you were this person because we were young. We was 18, 19, and it was like you allowed yourself to be yourself in this setting, but then you didn't let people stop you from being that person. That led to you being like shining star and all that stuff, which, for listeners, it was like a like an employee of the month award at the casino or whatever. That led to you getting like $500.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I remember somebody said, I forgot what they said to you. Something about you being this way, and then you was like, yeah, but me doing this got me $500.
No, for real.
You know what I mean? And it was like I used to look at that like, he's on to something. You know what I mean? And one thing I admire about our group is like everybody does something, and I get inspired. But what I don't feel like I have to do what you're doing. Like when y'all doing cold plunges, I'm like, I'm not doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm straight.
It's nuts. Had to abort that mission this year. Woo, February got real.
I remember that too. But y'all was doing that. I was like, I looked at it as like, yo, they're doing something hard to challenge themselves for discipline and all these things. I'm like, what can I do? What's my version of that? So it's like, okay, I'm not gonna eat no meat for a month, and I did cold showers, and them cold showers in December is crazy.
Listen,
I went 40 days of cold showers every morning.
Shout out to that, man.
That's cold
not an easy thing to do.
It's hard. It's difficult. You know what I mean?
Cold showers are just because I've done both, bro. Like in a sense, sometimes the cold showers are a little bit tougher.
I've heard people say I can't speak. I don't have an opinion about the cold plunges because I've never done one. But them showers are crazy.
Minus this February, because This February, yeah, I stuck my hand in some sugar honey iced tea. But prior though, like I would say cold showers because you have to continue like your body is not fully submerged.
Right.
Now I will say like the ice baths, um the initial shock is a lot
I just know
intense.
it just seems so intense, dude.
It's very intense. But once you get in there and you control your breathing, like everything in a sense goes numb. Your body's fully submerged.
Mm-hmm.
In the cold shower, you got like the water hitting your back. You got to turn sideways, hitting the side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a reset every time.
Yeah,
so it's not as intense, but it's still intense. And you're getting all the resets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I
right.
That's like keep getting out, getting back in, getting out, getting back
it's crazy
in.
because I thought like I was doing when I first did them before I did that 40 days. I was like, they were just like cold, but not like full on.
Bro said December
cold.
hit, it got real.
So then I was like, listening to y'all, I'm like, y'all gotta do it right, yo. Like, so when y'all was doing a plunge, I'm like, I can do a real joint. You know what I mean? So it was like how you was like, bro, no, turn the hot water off, step back, step in. And I did that the first time, and I was like, yo, this is insane. You know what I mean? But then over time, like something you said when you was doing the plunges, like almost like it becomes like an addiction. Like I get up and it's like after like a week, I'm like, yo, I gotta do it today. Because you now that positive dopamine hit that you're getting,
energy levels be crazy.
And then the thaw period is crazy, but you get to the point to where you're like, you're looking forward to accomplishing something. And that's what I got from that. So, you know, getting these things from you guys where it's like wanting to push yourself to just like do something better for yourself. I think it's what we get from that. I think it's like a translation when somebody's like doing something. It's like, yo, you ain't got to do the same thing that they're doing, but it's like take from the category and it's like they're doing something to improve themselves. So it's like, what can you do to improve version, yourself?
Bro.
Yeah.
It's your version.
Like you ain't got to go, they ran 10 miles today. Like you ain't got to do that. It's like, can you do 50 push-ups today and tomorrow? Can you make it the third day? All right. Can you make it? We've done that too. You know what I mean? Like, so it's I've learned that from you guys. It's like, I ain't got to look at y'all and be like, oh, I got to do all these same things.
And the same too, bro. Like, I'm going to use content as an example. Man, you be pumping out a lot of content. And I remember talking to you and you told me when you first switched up your strategy, like when you was like, man, this is when I seen a lot of growth. Like you made the conscious decision, like, you know what? I'm gonna post every single day.
It's 3 times a day, 3 to 4 times a day.
3 to 4 times
every single day.
Listen, I be struggling to post 3 times a week.
Yeah, I think it was like that same concept from we talk about like the baths or the gym or whatever the case is. When you get into a groove, you find those hacks to make it simpler for yourself. But that conscious talk where it was like I legit made it my. That's why like your mind is really powerful, and I'll be careful with the things that I do and I say, mentally, because once you make that agreement with yourself, that's another good book for agreement. Once you make that agreement with yourself, it's like it's kind of hard to shake. Because once I told myself like, yo, no, we're gonna post 3 to 4 times a day. It started off with just like 40 days when I was fasting, but then it just like I got into such a groove that I just couldn't stop. You know what I mean?
And you saw the results from that.
Yeah, the results is some of that you still reap the benefits from it. I haven't done it like that in like 2 years.
2 years later, you still reaping benefits from that. That's actually insane.
I legit got into it because I started all my videos off like, what up, though? And I had people that was like, bro, every time I open my phone, every single time I open my phone, like open the app, like it's one of your videos, because they might see me in the morning. And then it was like they open their phone again at lunchtime.
That's crazy,
I'm back.
bro.
Then they open it again late afternoon. I'm back. And then the evening, it's like I'm back. You know what I mean?
You was there with them, bro. Like,
yeah. And people, I don't know. It's like they felt like they were going with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now I'm just like I'm not at that level right now, but I'm happy with that.
So one thing that you've mentioned multiple times throughout the interview today, you mentioned stoicism.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying it right? Stoicism.
Stoicism.
All right. So for for the Blueprint crew, for those who out there listening, what is Stoicism, and like how did you get into it?
Mills introduced me to it actually.
Okay.
He was like, "Yo, I heard this
I don't know if we
philosophy."
shouted out Mills, but if we didn't,
Yeah,
if we
uh,
did, we'll shout him out again. Shout out my
yeah.
guy Mills.
He mentioned it to me. He's like, "I think you will." It's like we was having a conversation, and he was like, "Yo, I think you would benefit from like this thing. You should check it out." And I did. And then I just got hooked, and it comes from the word like being stoic. You know what I mean? Which usually means like not having emotion, right? People will say like, "Oh, his face was real stoic," whatever the case is. But they, not to get too deep, but that's like lowercase stoicism, uppercase stoicism is like actually being in touch with your emotions. And the whole point of stoicism is not so much stressing like uh being emotional about the things you can't control, but controlling your emotions actually. Like, so there are stoics who like have died from laughter. So how was this person like
Mm.
unemotional? You know what I mean? It's on the contrary, it's the opposite. It's like having control of those moments. So when something does arise, it's like I can't control like what happened, but I can control my actions towards
Yeah.
the thing that happened. And that's the root of it, right? So all the stuff we've talked about is like, your son is having a bad morning. Do you get emotional and make it worse and have a bad one too? Or do you take a second to acknowledge those emotions and then choose how you're going to pivot and what you're going to do, what you're going to say, how you're going to act? So that's the root of it. And it's just a philosophy that has allowed me to just be more in touch with like myself and just kind of take a step back and see the world a certain way and then look at myself a certain way. So like in those times where I would act like very irrational or very emotional, and which usually means you don't have control of yourself. It's like I've been learning to take a step back, and it doesn't mean you don't lose control. I just do it a whole lot less now. Like my kids see me start to go crazy, and then they see me stop, close my eyes, take a deep breath, and then when I do that, they be like, "Oh, like he was about to go nuts." And then they see me come down, and then I'm able to like articulate what I'm trying to say. It can go from like, "What the
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so I really need y'all to turn the TV off, go brush your teeth, and let's get ready for bed." I said it a few times. Let's go ahead and do that because tomorrow morning you guys are going to be exhausted, and we don't want that. You know what I mean? Like it's. I've been practicing this for a couple years now, and I see the effects. Like I read something from two different books that's Stoicism led daily. I journal. That's a big thing, and a lot of it comes from like this book called Meditations, which is from Marcus Aurelius, who's emperor, who used to be the emperor of Rome. Long, long time ago.
What was his name?
Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius.
So they found his journal, and his journal was just like filled with all these meditations and stuff like that. And
Mm.
some of that was stoicism based, because he was a stoic, person himself. So he used to practice this philosophy, and there's just so many gems in there. You know what I mean? And a big one is about like controlling your emotions. One of my favorites that I had to reference this morning was him laying in bed, and he was having the debate about like, I want to stay in bed. I don't want to get up right now. And it's like, how many of us today have had that discussion with ourselves? How
I
many
need
of
that
us
one.
today? And what he was saying was like, yes, it's more comfortable under here. It's warm. It's pleasant. And it's like, but was I put here to lay in the bed all morning and be warm and pleasant? Or do I need to get up and work towards my purpose?
Mm.
You look outside, you look at the bees, the ants, the birds, they're all doing what they need to do to to help and to and God made them to do whatever it is that they're doing. And it's like, were you made to lay here all morning, or were you made to get up and do something? And that's something we're not talking about you got to wake up and become president, but that's something could be like, hey, you need to get up earlier because your kids need you to help them get ready for school, or you need to get up and work on that project, or you need to get up, whatever. So it's like, you look at this person that was, you know, on earth so long ago that was dealing with the same thing that you were dealing with this morning. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And again, it's around that whole philosophy. It's like, get yourself up. You know what I mean? Like, control that emotion. You know, one part is telling you to lay down, the other side is like, hey, let's get up and let's be productive, let's do something. You know what I mean? So many things I got from this.
I think that's dope. That is, a lot of those things are like they sound relevant to the stuff that's today.
All of it is based off of what these dudes, like Seneca said, this quote that I think about all the time. It's like what he said, we suffer more in our head than we do in reality. You know, it's like a lot of the stuff that you putting yourself through mentally don't even come to pass.
You versus you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you're thinking about what could happen that usually never happens. And then now you're stressed. You can feel yourself being stressed about some stuff. And it's like,
You create these scenarios. And one thing too, like the mind doesn't know what's real or what's fake.
exactly. They talk about that too. Yeah, like it doesn't. You putting it in. You're doing it to yourself a lot of these times.
The thing is, you experience the same emotions, whether it's real or not. Another story that I've heard, it came from Psycho-Cybernetics, and he talked about the scenario with the guy in the woods, and there's a bear, and you remember that story? Yeah. So he said, like, if a guy seen a bear, right, and he's dressed up in a bear costume uniform, but the guy doesn't know that the bear is fake. If he just saw him, like if he's in the woods and he just saw a bear, he'll get that same fear, adrenaline pumping, and he'll experience the same emotions, even though that bear is fake. Because the subconscious doesn't know what's real or fake. It goes by what you tell it. Whether if that bear is real or fake, he's going to experience the same stuff. So again, like you said, when you get in your head and you start, goes back to like repeating stuff to yourself over and over. You start to internalize these things, meaning you start to believe them. You know, I've had many mornings where I'm like, man, this bed feel good. I don't want to get up. I don't want to this. I'm doing all the stuff to reinforce why I should stay in bed. And then guess what? Your body starts to release, what is it, like melatonin. I forget. It's a bunch of other stuff that I'm not sure what it's called. But your body goes into this relaxation state. And then it's now you fighting for your life to get out the bed. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But it's a lot of it comes from internalizing the things that you're saying in your head. Like sometimes you gotta like ignore it before it gets that far.
Yes.
The same with the ice bath. If you stand in front of that tub too long, you'll talk yourself out of it.
Oh man, even with the the shower.
Showers, yeah, same thing.
Bro,
if you stand there and be like, man,
I ain't switching this to cold.
You know what I'm saying? This, and then you'll end up talking yourself out.
Yeah.
Versus if you just like, you got to cut it short. Boom.
Yeah, that's and then it's so freeing when you do it, because like the times where it's like the first thing you want to do is get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the first thing when you switch cold, it's like, and I remember for like the whole first week of me doing that, it was like, yo, we're not getting out. I'm saying this out loud. Like,
Yeah.
You're not getting out. You're not getting out. You in control. Like saying these things to myself, and then
talking
you look
yourself
up,
into
and
it.
it's like, yo, it's been 45 seconds. I'm starting to ease into it. My goal is 2 minutes. It's like I can do this, and then you're doing it. And then they go from that to like, yo, I'm a beast, bro. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean. Afterwards, you're like, yo, look at this.
I can do anything. Man, I'm about to go climb Mount Everest
tonight. Like
tonight.
No, that's so powerful, and I think I needed to hear that too, because you do gotta like, you can't let yourself slip into that thought, because now you're believing this negative self-talk that's happening.
And one thing, Blueprint Crew, I want y'all to remember, this is not a one-time thing. This stuff is ongoing. Like, I've been at this for almost 3 years now, and I still have battles with that. Like, just different aspects. It's easy to go back into the autopilot or whatever we want to call it, or the voices in your head that internalize, and you know, just because I've read plenty of books. I've gotten a lot better. But that does not mean that those voices go away.
Nah, you just do a better job at managing it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That
and then
part.
sometimes you don't do such a good job. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it is too. You you are going to slip up. You know, I think the key part is like, don't fall into that abyss where it's like, oh, you slipped up today, you slip up
And
tomorrow.
giving yourself grace when you
Mm-hmm.
slip up. Because one thing that I've learned, I used to do this all the time. Like when I would slip up on something,
Mm-hmm.
I would beat myself up.
Oh yeah,
And then that lowers your vibration. And then
yeah,
you
don't
end up
nothing
doing
good come from that.
you end
Yeah,
up doing more of it.
exactly.
Now it's like you dust yourself off. But damn, I'm thinking about that Leah song.
Right.
First you don't succeed,
Yeah.
dust yourself off and try again.
Yeah.
That's dope though.
But in psycho-cybernetics, I think is when it talks about like say like the person that's like always late, and how like sometimes doing that wrong thing feels more natural to you. You'll be in such a headspace that you'll like sabotage you doing the right thing because it's in your subconscious. You told yourself like, there's no way I can be on time.
Yeah.
So even when you wake up on time and you do what you got to do, you will fight against yourself to be late.
Yes.
Because being on time is going to feel wrong to you. Like when you allow yourself to get into that space, you know what I mean? Like, and it just happens with, I think, a little bit of everything. It's like I found myself like doing the thing I know I should be doing, but then fighting against myself to do the opposite. And it's like, no, I know I should be doing this, but it's like, I can just like go lay down. Like this is it's much better. Like, yeah, I know it'll feel good to finish this early, but you know, no, let's just go do something else. You know what I mean? You legit can work against yourself and you don't even know you're doing it sometimes.
Mind's a powerful thing, bro.
Mhm.
It's a powerful
Mhm.
thing. So we say all that to say, stay intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Don't live life by default because there's a great chance you'll end up where you don't want to be. Live life by design. You've talked about you've mentioned a couple of books here. So real quick, what's one book that you would recommend to the audience? Just if they want to get on the path of leveling up, and just give a brief description about what it's about. Like if you had to take one book and be like, all right, this is a starter. This will point you sort of a gateway book that'll get them started and then point them in the right direction.
Yeah, I think it's a couple. I think The Alchemist was a good one for me. It's just a book about like going through your personal journey, and you pretty much sometimes don't know where you're going to end up, but it's like you have to start that journey, and I think that was a really good book for me. I need to read it again too, because I think it's one of those things where the more you read, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
That was a good one. My other one was The Four Agreements. That one is really good. So quick read or listen if you're an audiobook person. I've read and listened to that one twice because it's like kind of a shorter one.
The Four Agreements.
The Four Agreements. Yeah, and it's talking about the power of like making these agreements with yourself. So if you say like, yo, tomorrow morning I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m., then you're making an agreement with yourself. So you're probably going to align yourself up for you to do that. You know what I mean? And it talks about, you know, like being impeccable with your word and not making assumptions. And, you know, it's just really, 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 really good. I think that's a good one because it's just showing you how you need to show up for yourself and the things that you say to yourself, how you can legit speak life or death into your life. So I think that's like a really good one to start with.
And then are these books long, you said, or
The Four Agreements is not that long. The Alchemist isn't that long neither. The Alchemist's been around for a while. They're kind of, the Alchemist is a little bit longer, but the Four Agreements is they're both like relatively short reads compared to like some others. For sure.
I think that's good too. That one thing, especially for new readers or people that's thinking about getting into reading, that was one of my things. Like if I seen a book that was like too big,
oh man,
I'm like
already defeated. Like
man,
I don't know.
But no, that's good. So I'll leave a link in the description below. The Alchemist and the Four Agreements. Great recommendations from Clue. So I'm gonna leave those in the description. You guys can check those out if you want to start on your personal development journeys. Just a gateway into diving into that realm. Man, we've been talking for almost 2 hours, bro, and I feel like I didn't even get through all the questions. I feel like we got so much more to cover. This might have to be a part two.
Do a part two.
We definitely got to do a part two. because I've had a bunch of more questions that I wanted to ask you. But before we wrap up, what's next for you, man? What should people be on the lookout for?
First of all, God is good. Something is always in the works, so I'm grateful for that.
Clap it up for that.
Yeah,
Clap it up for that.
really grateful for that. Just more pop-ups, more content is what we're working on. If something major happens, then you'll see that too. You know what I mean? But that's it. Just like staying locked in and just being grateful for things as they come. It's just continuing to, like you said earlier, live this life by design and finding more ways to kind of share, inspire, and create with people.
Okay. Great things, man. So be on the lookout for Clue. Where can people find and support if you already don't know who this guy is? So where can they find and support what you're doing?
The main thing is the handle is on Instagram at Clue313. That's like where all the magic happens.
Okay.
And on also on Instagram at Clean Sneaker Care. That's the business. So a lot of the stuff that we create and do is through those channels. But my personal has like a lot more. It's a lot deeper than just like cleaning shoes. So yeah, that's where they can find me.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds good, man. I just want to say, bro, I'm honored to have had you come through, bro. Thanks for pulling up on us, man. Blessing us with your presence, man. You've dropped a lot of nuggets, and we're gonna wrap it up there, man.
Yeah, thanks
Go
for
ahead
having me.
and check my guy out if you guys not already following him, man. Clue313. And we're gonna wrap it up on that, man. And remember to you got any closing words you want to say to the people? Quotes or anything like that, man?
Yeah, faith without work is dead. That's been the thing. Faith without work is dead. That's been like something that's been on my conscience lately. So you got to get out here and get to it so God can work with you and for you.
So you can't just be out here talking. You got to get up and do some work.
You got to do more than just pray.
Yeah.
Some people, they pray, they think, they try to manifest like, oh, I'm gonna drive by this house and one day it's gonna be mine.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you gotta do more than just that. Like I'm telling you, when you get your feet on the ground and start doing stuff, like God just miraculously like open doors and guide you and all that. So you stay buried in like the word and studying and putting action to your words and things happen. So yeah, faith without work is dead.
Faith without work is dead, and that's a bar. And we're going to end it on that. And remember to stay focused, keep pushing forward, and you'll keep leveling up. Key.
All right. Yeah, it's so funny hearing you say that in person.
We're going to wrap it, man.
That was good.
I had to keep looking down, bro. I'm